Thanks so much for that gracious introduction. And today we're going to be talking about something that's very near and dear to our hearts, your job search in challenging times. Looking for a job is not easy, even when we're not dealing with COVID-19. But now that we are, there are some interesting things and important things that you can do right now to sow the seeds for your future job. So today I'm going to be giving you a few practical tips on what to do for your job search right now. One thing I can tell you is I've had 14 different jobs. That may sound like a lot. Nowadays, people change jobs very frequently. My generation, people kind of stayed for 30, 40 years in one place. So I started out as a teacher, then I went into college administration, and then I went into not-for-profit management. And when I lost one of my last jobs as the CEO of NYSA, I went for coaching with the 5 o'clock club, and I took their training to become a career coach. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about 7 different tips that you can use right now to help you with your job search. Preparing for a longer search, managing your finances, maintaining contact with hiring managers, preparing for video interviews, very important. Thinking outside the box for a job title you may not have thought of before. Keep on building your network, maintaining your current network. Think about upgrading your skills, taking a course, and staying motivated and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So let me just put this into context. There are 5 steps in your job search. Assessment, how to assess your skills, your interests, your value systems in the workplace. That's very important because it lays the groundwork for the rest of your job search. It will help you writing your resume, writing your LinkedIn profile. It helps you with your interviews. Branding, that's who you are. Just like a company has a logo and a brochure and a website, you have brand, which includes your cover letter, your pitch, your resume, your LinkedIn profile. Connecting, networking, differentiating. How do you distinguish yourself from other candidates going for the same job that you're going for? And enhancing. All right, so those are the 5 steps, and when I work with my clients, we go through all 5 steps. Some people know more about some steps than other steps, but we go through the 5 steps to get you to where you want to be. Okay, first off, preparing for a longer job search. Ordinarily, a new job search may take a month, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. Under these circumstances, it might take longer. So you need to spend more time per week and a longer time trying to figure out what your job target is and how to get there. Yes, some companies are firing people and millions of people have been laid off, as we all know. Some companies are still hiring people. And some companies are going through the interview process, and we will talk about how to prepare for a video interview, which is very important. But it's not a good time to just sit back and relax and take a vacation thinking that, oh, nothing's happening now. Nothing could be further from the truth. This is a great time to prepare for your future job. Continue to research companies. How do you research a company? First of all, you go to the company's website. They have things such as a financial report, an annual report, press releases. Check with your connections. Who do you know who has worked at that company or know someone who works at that company and can give you some inside information? Look at social media accounts. Look at Glassdoor if you want to find out some information from people who have worked at a company who may or may not be happy with their tenure there. You may even find out that companies are looking for new things. There are new needs, new projects that they didn't have before. Tip number 2, manage your finances. And since all of you are savvy ladies and you know all about savvy ladies, you have access to lots of information and other webinars on how to manage your finances. But if you just lost your job, you need to figure out, well, where is my income going to come from? And if I don't have income coming in, how can I handle it? So, what's your budget? Do you know how much you spend every month on fixed expenses and variable expenses? Fixed expenses include things such as your rent or your mortgage, your utilities, your cell phone. Variable expenses, food, entertainment. Are you spending more or less on entertainment, even though you're staying home? Maybe you're paying for extra things for your TV or Netflix or something, a new application to put onto your computer. Cut back where you can. What are the things that you really can do without at this time? And think about other possible sources of income. Maybe it's the time now to look for a temporary job or an interim job. It's not the job of your dreams, but it's something you can do right now that will bring in some income. Do you have savings? How can you manage those savings? Did you get a severance package if you've been laid off? Did you negotiate a severance package? Did you know that part of a severance package could include outplacement? That means money included for coaching, career coaching. Not every company now has money for severance, and not every company has money for outplacement. But a good investment for you is in outplacement. Did you apply for your unemployment? Can you refinance a mortgage at a lower rate? Mortgage rates are at an all-time low, so even if you're not unemployed, this is a good time to think about refinancing your mortgage at a lower rate. Tip 3, maintain contact with hiring managers. Now, who's a hiring manager? I'm not talking about human resources. You're only going to contact a human resources manager if you want to work in the human resource department. A hiring manager is someone who's 1 or 2 levels above the job title you're going for, who you would write to and ask for a meeting. That could be someone at the level of a vice president or a managing director or a director, but it's not human resources. So just because times are slow, there's a little typo there, times are slow doesn't mean hiring managers are not thinking of the future. They always are. They know what future problems they will have or innovations. They know if they're going to be expanding their business, opening up in a new city. They know whether they're going to be firing an unproductive worker. They know whether someone is going to go out on maternity leave and they need to replace someone. So it's a good idea to keep in touch with hiring managers and other people whom you have spoken to over the past 6 months or a year. How do you do that? Send an email every 4 to 6 weeks with some news. Mention an article that you've read or some other information you would like to share with that person. This shows you continue to be interested in their company, in them, in the industry. It shows that you are staying up to date. So it's very important to stay in touch with hiring managers. Even if it's someone that you interviewed with 6 months ago and didn't offer you the job, it's still important to stay in front of them every 4 to 6 weeks so they remember who you are. Preparing for video interviews. By now, most of you have been on a Zoom meeting or a FaceTime meeting, and so you know what it's like to have your face shown while you're speaking. But there are some differences between a live interview and a video interview. So first of all, you do need to dress professionally. Absolutely. The thing about this is there are certain colors that do not come across well on a computer video. No black, no white, no dark navy, and no red. So you can use other neutrals, other blues for women, pale pinks, or mauves, or greens as a top, as a blouse, other colors for your jackets. It's very important to look professional. Your hair, your makeup, because every little detail is magnified when you're on a video interview. Find a place in your home that looks professional. I move my computer so that what you see behind me is a bookcase. Or you can move your computer so what you see behind is a blank wall. And if you're on Zoom, you can pick other images to post behind you. Or you can pick a wall in your home that has some nice artwork on it. If you can help it, try not to have the interview in your bedroom. But if you have to use the bedroom so you can close the door, make sure the bed is made and there's no clutter. Try to limit distractions. Are there dogs barking? Are there noisy kids? Is the TV going? Is the radio blasting? Is there noise from the outside traffic or sirens? It's very important to limit the noise, because when your microphone is on the computer, other noises are picked up and go through the computer. Test out your computer video. Maggie and I got on 15 minutes before the program to make sure that everything was working just fine. Technology is great, except when it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that it works before you go on your video interview. Practice answering your questions. That means you need to anticipate what kinds of questions are they going to ask you. Practice in front of a mirror. Practice on a Zoom with a friend. You will see as you're practicing your facial expressions. Are you playing with your hair? That's a no-no. Are you saying too many ums, you knows? No-nos. It's very important to see how you look to others when you're on a video. And as I said, get on at least 5 minutes before the start to make sure that everything is working. Be ready to tell your stories. I spend a lot of time with my clients finding out what are their best accomplishments. What problem did they solve? What actions did they take? And what result did they get? And can they talk about the result in terms of money saved, money earned, new clients, number of attendees? If you can, you want to express your accomplishments in terms of numbers, percents, dollars. And be ready to talk about 3 or 4 of these accomplishments in greater detail so that you can show that you are successful. It's much better to be able to tell a story that shows you are successful and can get results, instead of saying, oh, I'm a successful salesperson and I can get results, or I'm a successful computer tech and I can get results. So the story is very important. You need to be able to speak in a conversational tone so it sounds like you are actually telling a story. Write it up in advance. Review it several times so that you feel comfortable talking about it. Okay, now, lots of jobs have been cut, but that doesn't mean there aren't other jobs available. So you may want to use this time to think about other jobs, thinking outside of the box, not your usual job. What's another field that's growing? Do you have the skills? Or maybe you want to spend this time learning some new skills that you can transfer to a different job title. People are needed in certain areas: customer service, delivery, phone sales. And there are other areas which I'll come up to in a moment. Okay, what areas are losing jobs? Lodging, the hotel industry, cruises, restaurants, airlines, again, travel related, retail stores. Retail stores started going out of business even before COVID virus. If you're in the New York metro area, you know that some major stores have closed down, including Lord & Taylor. So retail has changed totally. It's really mostly gone online. What are some industries that are not been affected as much? Telecommunications, software, steel, the gig economy, projects, consulting. What's growing? Big data analytics, cloud computing, robotics, cybersecurity, accounting, bookkeeping, software. Notice almost all of these are in the technology area. Now, that may not be your cup of tea. You may not be interested. You may not have the talent for that. What are some other job titles that I've seen recently? And this is only a very short list. This is very limited. Doesn't include everything that's out there. customer service representative, business analyst, data analyst, media relations director, public relations director. So there are lots of things available. The question is, do your skills and talents and interests match what's out there? Are you willing to get some more training? Doesn't have to be a degree. It could be a course or a few courses or a certificate program. Case managers, tons of opportunities for case managers, patient advocates, lots of things in the healthcare field that are not directly related to nursing or medicine. So what are some skills that you can transfer? Again, this is not an exhaustive list. I've got a list of about 50 skills, but here are some skills that work in different industries and in different companies. Consulting, and that runs the gamut. You can consult in almost anything from business strategy, organizational behavior, training and development, not-for-profits, project work, customer support, human resource roles. Someone in my apartment building just got a job doing recruiting for a company. So they need people. If they need people, they need someone who can do the recruiting, who can do the interviewing, who can look at resumes. Accounting. There's always a need for accounting, whether it's a full-time permanent position or it's an outsourced position or it's a part-time position. Business analyst, data analyst, project manager, administrative support, remote training. You may have noticed that now that public schools are closed, teachers have to teach from a distance. And I think they went through maybe 3 days, if that, of training. I started doing online training, distance learning in 1995 when I was at Westchester Community College. It's been around for a long time, but not everybody uses it. I'm sure you've heard of the University of Phoenix. I mean, that's been around a very long time, and it offers college degrees via distance. So now both undergraduate, colleges, high schools, elementary schools, everybody has to use remote learning. It's available both in the public system, the private system, and in the corporate sector. Change management. Well, this is a great time to teach people about change management. Business continuity. Editing. Six Sigma, which is project management. Online teachers. Sales. These are just a few of the kinds of things that are needed in the workforce today. Again, it's limited list. This is not everything. Tip number 5, and this, I think, of all the tips I'm giving you today, is probably the most important one and the one you can spend your time on. Keep building your network and your relationships. So what does that mean? Those of you who've heard me speak before know that there are 5 different ways to build your network. And if you're not using all of these ways to meet new people and build relationships and connections, you're missing out. First thing is you have to join your professional organization. Every profession has an organization. If you're a doctor, you belong to the AMA. If you're an accountant, you belong to the Society for CPAs. There's a New York State Society for CPAs. If you're in marketing, there's an American Marketing Association. If you're a neonatal nurse, there's a Neonatal Nurse Association called NAPNAP, funnily enough. By joining an organization, you need to be able to get involved. It's not enough just to become a member. You need to join a committee, go to meetings, and get yourself known and build relationships with a few people so that you have access to information about what is happening in that profession. What's the news? What are the innovations? Where are the jobs? Second way to build your network, join your alumni association. I'm always surprised when I speak in public to hear that half the group has not even joined their alumni association, whether it's your high school, your college, your graduate school. Every alumni association is an opportunity for you to build your network. You don't even have to join. You can actually go online to LinkedIn and use LinkedIn to search for people who have graduated from your school. So you go into LinkedIn, and on the upper left-hand corner in the search box, you put in the name of your school. So I graduated from Brooklyn College. I can look up Brooklyn College School, or I can look up New York University School. Click on that. You will come to a LinkedIn page for that university or college or high school. On the left-hand side, there'll be a list, and one of the words on the list is alumni. Click on the word alumni, and then it'll pop up with different filters. You can filter by industry, by city, by company, by year of graduation. And when you find people who are working in the companies where you would like to work, you can contact them through LinkedIn. Now, you don't say right away, oh, I'm in a job search, I need your help. If you're contacting someone cold, someone that you don't know, and someone that one of your contacts doesn't know, it takes 3 messages. The first message is simple. Hey, I see you're an alum from New York University. So am I. I'd love to connect. Let's say the person accepts, they connect to you. Second message you send. Gee, I'm very impressed with your background in XYZ. I'd love to learn more about what you do. See if they answer. Third, then you can finally say, I'm going through a transition now, and I would love to get your career advice. Can we set up a meeting by phone? So join your alumni association, or if not, at least go online to LinkedIn and find people with whom you can connect. Third way to build your network. Volunteer for a cause you believe in. Volunteering is a great way to meet other people who do all sorts of things. You all have something in common. You're working for the same organization, whether it's making masks for COVID or feeding the homeless. You all have that in common. And you will find that people belong to different kinds of industries and companies, and you can develop relationships with them. Join a religious or civic organization. The Elks, the Masons, your local church, synagogue, temple, mosque. Belong to a club for your hobby. You can meet people that way. I like to speak French and Spanish, and so once a week I go to a French club. There may be a dozen people in that, and once a week I go to a Spanish club. There are people who do that. I also do pottery. Now, I'm not going to the studio anymore, but there's a bunch of people who go to the studio all the time. I've gotten to know them. I have gotten clients for my coaching business through people in the studio. Okay, 5 ways to build your network. Using LinkedIn, I've said this, you look up your alumni, you narrow your search by industry, job, title, city, and you contact alumni. How else can you network during this quarantine? Okay, you can have a recurring meeting online on Zoom, a virtual coffee time, or you can have a virtual cocktail hour. Yesterday, the Manhattan Chamber had a virtual cocktail hour. Look at the most critical people on your list and just send them a text message. Hi, I'm thinking of you. How's it going? Convert your upcoming network meetings to Zoom or Skype. So any meeting you are going to have live, obviously, you have to change that. Arrange a virtual movie night with a friend, or talk about a movie in the chat box. Arrange a physically distant coffee. Walk a block away from each other and talk across the corner. Send handwritten notes. One thing I can say about Stacy Francis of Francis Financial, she will send a thank you note the old-fashioned way, handwritten on a card in the mail. For your bestest people, you can send handwritten notes. And phone a friend, unannounced. Your friend will appreciate it. During this time, people are interested and anxious for connection. That's the one thing they really are missing. And so they would be happy to hear from you, even if you haven't written to them or spoken to them in 6 months or a year or more. I got a call, an email from a gentleman I worked with 15 years ago, came back in touch with me. I recontacted a woman I went to college with and was friendly for maybe 10 years after college, 15 years. I haven't spoken to her in years. We got back in contact. So this is a great time to get back in contact with long-lost friends or colleagues. Upgrade your skills. Okay. Learn something new. Let's say you do have time on your hands. Unless you're busy with your kids and with cooking, cleaning the house, what can you do with your time? There are lots of courses and certificates online. Teachable, Udemy, Coursera, edX. The public library has courses, lynda.com. The major universities, Harvard, MIT, Berkeley, Stanford, have courses that you can audit for free. And I don't have to tell you how expensive it is if you had to pay tuition at one of those schools. Microsoft offers courses for free. Skillshare, Netflix for education, creativity, photo, writing. Read books. People are still reading books. Read a daily newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, and trade journals. There's lots of ways to build your skills during this time. Volunteer. We talked a little bit about volunteering. Of course, now it's a little more difficult. You can't do it in person. But there are good reasons to volunteer. Why? You get some work experience. You may get some new skills. You can get a reference from the person in charge of the volunteers of that organization. You can fill a gap on your resume. Where can you volunteer? Here are just a few examples of places that are looking for volunteers. They're happy to get volunteers. And some of the work you can definitely do via email and online. Taproot Foundation, Volunteer Match, NYC Service. Many hospitals are looking for volunteers, and food banks, of course, are looking for volunteers. Maintain a healthy lifestyle. This is so important. Even though you're home and you're not getting up to go to work, it's very important to keep a schedule. Now, ordinarily, when I work with people who are job hunting, we say, well, if you're working now full-time, you need to spend 10 to 15 hours a week on your job search. If you're not working, you need to spend 35 to 40 hours a week on your job search. But that doesn't work now if you have family obligations. Maybe you're teaching some kids at home, you're doing homeschooling because the kids are not in school. You don't have that much time. Be that as it may, you need to set aside an hour to 3 hours each day where you can be alone and quiet without distractions to work on your job search. Keep to a schedule, stick to a routine. Get up, take a shower, get dressed, eat your breakfast, and get to work. Try to take a walk every day. Wear your mask, go outside, go around the block, take a walk for a few blocks. It's very important to get some fresh air. Try to walk where there are very few people. I live in an apartment building, and all the buildings on my street are apartments, but behind them there are private homes, and so there are fewer people walking around, and so we take a walk back there for about a half an hour. Take a break at lunch and mid-afternoon. Don't think you have to be stuck at your computer all day long in front of the screen, which A, is not good for you visually or mentally. You need to get up, you need to walk around, you need to take a break, just like you would if you were in the office. You get out at lunch or you get out in the afternoon. Try to get 8 hours of sleep a night. Sleep is very important to get your brain rested, to help you think. If you don't get a good night's sleep, you're not going to be good the next day. And take a vitamin supplement if you don't think you're getting the right nutrition. Stay motivated. All right, tip number 8, the extra tip of the day. How do you stay motivated? During a job search, whether it's quarantine time or not, it's very important to stay motivated because job search takes a long time, longer than you think. Check in once a week with a best friend, a buddy, a career coach, or someone like you who's lost a job and is going through the same process. It's important to have someone to talk to keep you on track, even if it's just a 10-minute call. Keep track on an Excel spreadsheet of all your calls, all your emails, all your interviews, and your connections. This way on the spreadsheet you can show when did you first contact this person and how did you contact them. When was the next time and the next time. So you have a running list of all the people you've contacted and how and when you have connected with them. Practice your interview skills. As I said, it's not enough to just practice in front of the mirror. It helps if you have a real life person to practice with because they can give you some feedback about your facial expressions, your gestures, your energy level. And of course, take time to be with your family, your friends, your outside interests. And if you have time, you can volunteer. So let's review the key tactics during quarantine time. Take small steps to make sure your job search is manageable. You can have a to-do list, but don't think you're going to get through the whole list. If you can get 1 or 2 things done every day, you should feel good about that. Continue to research companies and individuals. Rework your resume with relevant skills. Expand your reach. Don't be afraid to reach out to people you don't know through LinkedIn, through your alumni association, through a professional organization. Stay in the game. Try to do something every single day to get you forward. Follow up with the hiring managers you have spoken to in the past. Be of service if you can, volunteer. Reconnect with colleagues, former colleagues, friends, long-lost friends, long-lost relatives. Rebrand yourself as a virtual employee. Show that you can work from home. And if you have the time and interest, you can publish a thought piece online, something that shows you are a leader in your field. You have information to share. You have knowledge to share. Anytime you write an article or post on LinkedIn, that gets your name out there. It gets you visibility. Okay, questions? Maggie, what do we got?
All right, thanks, Amy. I'll remind everyone, if you have a question, you can use the chat box, or you can also email info@savvyladies.org. And the first question for you is asking if there are any credible sites you can recommend with a list of professional associations.
Good question. There's a resource called the Encyclopedia of Associations. What you need to do is you need to just do a search by your field, because you're going to get a list. There's like 60,000 associations. There's some ridiculous number of associations. So you don't want a list of all the associations. What you want to do is you want to put in your profession and do a search on your profession for associations in your profession. And then when you see the names of them, it's always good to talk to people you know to find out, what's that association like? Does it provide resources? Is it just something to stick on your resume and really isn't helpful? It's always important to talk to people. You can read a lot about associations on their own websites, but to get the inside scoop, you really need to talk to people who are members.
Okay, thank you. The next question is asking if you can add volunteer skills to your resume if they're significant.
Say that again. I didn't hear the last part, Maggie.
It's asking if you can add volunteer skills to your resume if they are significant.
Well, the question is if they are relevant. So my example relates to what I did. I worked in not-for-profits, and then when I volunteered for the Taproot Foundation, they also do pro bono consulting for not-for-profits. I worked on a board recruitment project with El Barrio Museum. I worked on a strategic planning project with Downtown Community TV, and I worked on a third project. So because my projects were with not-for-profits in areas that were relevant for the job I was going for, I did put that Taproot Foundation experience on my resume. Okay, if you're doing food bank, preparing foods and serving foods and packaging foods, and that has nothing to do with what you've been doing or what you're going for, it doesn't make sense to put it on your resume. You can talk about it perhaps during the interview process, all right? So take a look at what you've done, and are the skills that you're using in that volunteer work or have used relevant to the job you want to go for? Then absolutely include it in your resume.
Okay, thank you. The next question is asking if you can talk again about tip number 6.
Tip number 6. Let me see what that was. Upgrade your skills. What's the question?
It was asking what it was, so maybe you could just review it for a little bit here.
Okay. Upgrade your skills. Because we're home quarantined, some of us may have extra time. Not everyone, because if you're, as I said, if you're dealing with your family and your kids or you're doing homeschooling, you may not have that time. Nevertheless, this is an opportunity to take a look at, gee, what am I missing? What could I learn? So, do I want to learn something new or another skill, whether it's in a technical skill in some type of software development, or is it going to be a skill in management? Is it communication? Is it project management? Now is the time to find a course or two or three that is relevant for you that you can take online. And that's why on this page that I'm showing you again, there's a list of places to look for courses. I can't tell you what course you should take. You need to figure that out. That's part of the assessment process based upon what you know and then what you want to go for, what your next move is going to be. And then you can take advantage of a lot of free stuff that's out there by taking a course. In some cases, you could take a whole certificate program, and maybe it won't take long. Maybe it'll take just a few months, and you can get a certificate in another field that would help you get your next job.
Okay, and we just had a question come in as you were talking about that, asking if these online courses are credible to list on your resume and how many of them you can list.
Okay. If you're taking a course at a university, any major university, absolutely, it's credible, okay? If you're taking a course on a certificate online at one of these not-for-profit, one of these for-profit places, Teachable, Udemy, Coursera, if it's something like, okay, you're learning how to use Excel spreadsheets, yeah, it's credible. You don't need to go to a college to take a course in how to use an Excel spreadsheet, okay? You can look up these organizations and find out about their reputation. Once again, you could go on Glassdoor and find out about reputations. So just like with any course you would take anywhere, there are schools that do not have good reputations, and some of them have gone out of business. And one of them had to pay $25 million in reparations because the people they said they taught, who paid $25,000 each, were not able to get jobs after they gave them this information. Okay, so that school will remain nameless. Some of you may have heard of it. It's in real estate. So you really need to do some research. Again, there's no website that's going to say what are the best places. Yeah, you can look up what are the best places, but who's doing the review is the question. And can you believe the reviewer who's telling you, yeah, you should go here rather than there?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Looks like we have 2 more questions. The next one is saying, I'm luckily still employed, but I'm worried I'll be let go very soon. Is there anything I can do now proactively to prepare for a job search?
Yes, absolutely. You can do your assessment. You can make a list of all the accomplishments you've done most recently on your job. You can update your resume to include your most recent things. You can update your LinkedIn profile. One thing you don't want to do is, you don't want to say on LinkedIn that you are looking for the next opportunity or that you are open to opportunities, because employers are prejudiced against people who are not working. So you just keep your current job title up there. You can update your summary and update your job description, but don't put down on LinkedIn that you're looking for the next job. People will find you. I'll give you an example. I was found as a career coach about a year ago. A company in Iowa found me because they were thinking of getting a contract with a company in Quebec that was laying people off. They ultimately did not get that contract. They wrote a proposal, they didn't get it. But they interviewed me thinking I would be a good career coach and I speak French. So they didn't use me for that, but they used me for another project that they had, which was coaching leadership of staff at Clarkson University, upstate New York. So all that to say is, you don't want to say you're available, but people will find you. Hiring managers and search firms are looking on LinkedIn. They are doing their own searches by keywords. they can put in a few keywords and find people, and they can contact you directly. So it's very important that you write your heading, which has 140 characters on LinkedIn. That includes not only your job title, but a few key skills. You can take a look at my LinkedIn profile, and you'll see what I mean by using the heading and using the summary. So it's not the same as your resume. It's an opportunity really to sell yourself and brand yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks,
Question.
Amy. The last question is saying one of my best connected contacts is now out of a job. How do I politely ask her to make an introduction for me, because I do want to be mindful of her situation?
Well, she's out of a job, you're out of a job. She knows people that you don't, and you know people that she doesn't. So there's nothing wrong with asking her to make a connection for you. Make a warm introduction. The way you make a warm introduction is this. You ask your contact to send an email to you and to this third person saying, "Dear," and your name and the third person's name, "I want to introduce you two professionals to each other. Mary, this is what Joan does. Joan, this is what Mary does. I will leave it to the two of you to connect." Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are out of work, but they have a lot of contacts. And maybe their contacts won't work for them, but they'll work for you, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so those are the questions we have for you, Amy. So I want to thank you for a really, really great presentation, very helpful during this tough time. We will be sending out Amy's contact information. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today and asking questions. And thanks so much, Amy.
You're welcome, Maggie. This was great. Anybody has a question, just send it in to Maggie, and she'll send it off to me. I'll be happy to answer the question. So Keep calm and carry on, everyone.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Amy. Bye-bye.
Bye.